All right. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to you, wherever you are in this beautiful world. Welcome to our Inner Circle Live pre-New York session. I'm your host, Ryan Carthage. We'll be joined shortly by my awesome partner, Mr. Benny Allen. Hope everybody's doing well today on this beautiful Tuesday. As always, let's turn off all distractions, grab a pen and paper, let's take lots of notes. Let's make sure that we participate and engage. And as always, we want to start our day off by taking massive action. That action stands for accepting all possible losses before entering a trade, preparing you for any outcome, centering yourself, body, mind, and spirit, ensuring a balanced approach to trading, trusting your education, strategy, trade skills, and intuition, imagine your trade successfully materializing, obeying your trading strategy, avoiding decisions based on greed or fear, and never looking back or stopping once your trade has commenced. All right. So we are going to get things rocking. We're going to take a look at fundamentals, get an update on the things that are happening in the Middle East, and we will then take a look at the yens. Bank of Japan had a rate statement um, last night, early this morning. So we'll take a look there to see where things are, see how things are trending, and see what we can take advantage of. If everybody can hear me okay, drop me one in the chat, and we will get things underway. All right, perfect. Appreciate it. Just 1 second. That there. All right, let's hop over to trading economics and get caught up on things. And it's been an interesting go because the market has been extremely, I'll call it resilient, um, and not basically not panicking as things have escalated in the Middle East um, with the with the president's help, right? So as things continue to escalate, they get more and more interesting on how the market's going to respond to all of the things. Okay, so um, but I'll start just with the top here. German investor morale continues to improve. Um, the economic sentiment index for Germany jumped 22.3 points to 47.5 in June, the highest since March. March's 3-year peak. And well above the expectations of 35. Optimism was fueled by um, rising investment, stronger consumer demand, and hopes for new fiscal measures in the recent ECB rate cuts uh, could end nearly 3 years of stagnation, right? So, with the ECB's decision, it gives some um, it gives a boost in the morale for the European zone overall, but Germany being the larger player in that European group. All right, so that's there. Um, then we have European stocks decline on Tuesday, with stocks 50 down 1% and stock 600 down 0.8 as renewed concerns over potential escalation in the Israel-Iran conflict weighed on the sentiment. All right. The sell-off followed calls by Donald Trump for evacuation of Tehran uh, and his early departure from the G7 summit, which fueled speculation that Washington may be preparing more assertive support for Israel Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. Meanwhile, Israel strikes on Iran targets include missile storage sites such as and launch infrastructure continued. Among the worst performers in the European zone, Amadeus IT Group, Unicredit, and Bayer renewable energy stocks also came under pressure after reports that the U.S. Senate Finance Committee is considering a full phase out of solar and wind tax credits by 2028. All right, that's going to be a big piece in that tax bill. Um, Shares of SMA, Solar Technology, Orsted, and Nordax posted steep losses. All right. I'm going to copy these names, keep these for a bit later. Um, so that's the European zone. Um, then we had Bank of Japan. The Bank of Japan kept its key rate unchanged during its June meeting, maintaining the highest level since 2008, aligning with market expectations. The unanimous decision underscored the central bank's cautious stance amid escalating geopolitical risks and lingering uncertainty over U.S. tariffs, both which continue to pose threats to global economic growth. Tokyo and Washington agreed to extend the trade talks after failing to achieve a breakthrough during discussions on the sidelines of the G7 summit. Um, meanwhile, as part of its gradual policy normalization, the BOJ reaffirmed its plan to cut Japanese government bond purchases by 400 billion each quarter through March of 2026. Starting in April 2026, it will then slow the reduction to 200 billion per quarter through 2027, targeting a monthly purchase level of around 2 trillion, signaling a measured but steady path away from ultra loose monetary policy. All right, so we'll keep that in mind there as things go. Okay. Um, One of the things to note is that that shift on slowing the purchases um, next year, it sounds like there is some additional risk that they're looking at um, through next year. So it'll be interesting to see what I didn't get a chance to complete my reading of the meeting minutes, but there's some additional risk that that could come into play next year um, that could cause them to slow those purchases. I'm sorry, to decrease the amount of their tapering plan. So we'll watch and see how those go, and I'll get details on that to bring to the table um, tomorrow. All right. Um, gold. Gold rises 33.90 per ounce on Tuesday as ongoing tension in the Middle East boosts demand for safe haven assets. Donald Trump urged immediate evacuation of Tehran after Israel intensified its bombing across Iran, targeting Iran's elite military force and statewide media buildings, right? So they literally bombed a media building as they were live on television. Um, I Israel did. So um, on Monday, uh, gold dropped 1.4%, marking its largest one-day fall in a month, amid reports that Iran is seeking to de-escalate hostilities with Israel and is willing to resume nuclear talks with the United States as long as Washington doesn't join the Israel attacks. I think that was just some media manipulation. I don't know that that actually happened because at the same time, there were reports that um, Iranian military were telling Israelis to evacuate Israel if they want to remain safe, right? So I don't know that this was an accurate statement based on all the news sources and the information coming in. I think that was more of a manipulation of the narrative. Um, so we'll see if that comes up again, but I don't know that that actually happened. Um, On the economic front, investors will watch for May's retail sales and industrial production data later today to gauge the strength of the U.S. economy. Attention is also focused on the Federal Reserve's two-day policy meeting, which concludes on Wednesday, with the Fed widely expected to hold rates steady. Markets are keen on signals on potential rate cuts in the months ahead. Best was out there for two cuts, but with what's happening, especially with oil headed to the upside, that's causing another wrinkle in the Fed's decision that they have to factor in, right? They already got tariffs, they got inflation coming down still, which is also interesting. Um, And now you have this large geopolitical situation and oil moving to the upside, which on the headline front could cause some concerns. So definitely going to be an interesting conversation over the next 2 days for the Fed, and then tomorrow we'll see where they net out. But this adds another wrinkle that they have to figure out and have to work through. So we'll see how things go. Brett Crude futures rose more than 1%, around 74.20 per barrel on Tuesday, as Israel vowed more strikes on Iran, keeping the market on edge about potential escalation that could disrupt energy flows and vital trade routes. U.S. Donald Trump on Monday called for an evacuation after Israel intensified airstrikes on Iran's capital, including a hit a state media building. The attack came even as reports indicated Iran has been urgently signaling that it wants to seek to end the hostilities and a resumption of negotiations over the nuclear program. The news eased some concerns over the conflict, contributing to a volatile trade session on Monday, um, during which oil prices swung within an $8 range before closing lower. Meanwhile, traders also grappled with the prospect of new tariffs from President Donald Trump in the coming weeks as the rapid increase in production quotas for OPEC, which could significantly impact the oil market. But we'll see how things go, man. There's a ton happening, a ton of back and forth. Um, so we will see where things go. But it's it's been an interesting go. I'll say that. Um, Tons of media manipulation in this Israel-Iran scenario. Um, because of previous reports that are now being overlooked, and the fact that Israel has nuclear weapons and has had them for a long time, and the U.S. Intelligence agency in March said that Iran showed no signs of having nuclear weapons. Um, and other countries are working with uranium the same way that Israel is, but Israel's the only, I mean, sorry, that Iran is, but Iran is the only one of those countries that is being targeted for these things. So there's tons of things going on that make the situation extremely interesting across the board. So we'll see how things go. We'll keep tabs on it as it develops. Benny, good morning, bro.
Good morning, Ryan. Good morning, everybody. How are you, Ryan?
I am doing all right, man. How are you?
Oh, man, doing pretty good. Just trying to figure it all out.
Exactly, man. Exactly. What's top of mind for you, man?
Oh man, just trying to do some layer work and research on, some different stocks and things that could benefit, you know, from everything that's going on. I'm just
Yeah.
trying to follow capital flows, I know there's a an iShares US Aerospace and Defense ETF.
Yes.
Um, was there ITA, whatever. Um, Just trying to see if there's anything going. It looks pretty flat right now, though. And then just like your Lockheed Martins and things like that to see if there's any type of boost there. Um, kind of back and forth right now. I know, that Archer, that AC, what was that? The ACHR,
Uh-huh.
that Archer Aviation. Just trying to figure out where the capital flows are going against all the chaos, man.
Yeah.
Um, I just it's just wild, man. It's just like I mean, first it was you know what happened in October, in October and with Palestine, the Palestinians and Israel. Now is Iran and Israel, and it's like the extent to which the question is the extent to which the U.S. is going to be involved.
Or is already involved.
Yeah, right. Already involved, and and it's crazy. It's a lot to navigate through. Just how the G7 was going yesterday with him. The agenda was laid out, and then Trump starts talking about Russia and why they should be in the G8, and if they were in the G8, there wouldn't be a war. Which
Right.
the reason why he got kicked out is because of war. Like Russia got kicked out of the G8 is because of war. Like it's just, I mean, he's only been in office since January, and it's just been total chaos. And then trying to just continue to follow what's going on with that tax bill. You know, that's
Yes.
that's where so through all the mess, that's still where I land and hang my hat is, to follow the progress with that and to see what that final bill is going to look like. Because, like I said, it's going to pass. I'll be surprised if it doesn't. But what does it look like, and the details and how that's going to impact markets.
Talk to me about updates there on things that are changing. I know they had some conversations yesterday and they made some adjustments. You got any
Yeah,
updates on it?
I think no, I really don't have an opinion on it now because I think it's still too early to tell.
Okay.
I think it's just still too early to tell because of so much back and forth. I just because I like I said, I just don't think there's enough Republicans with the backbone to really. I think a lot of them are, kind of jawboning and jockeying for a position, trying to me, really just trying to give the impression that they're putting up a fight because they're for their constituents. But at the end of the day, I don't think they're gonna pit up the type of fight that some of them appear to be putting up right now. I think because I think it's gonna hurt a lot of their constituents. Over the long run, I don't think it's gonna benefit them.
Yeah.
And but I think right now, that's why I say it's too early to tell because a lot of them are trying to pretty much just front, like like they're really trying to do all they can to make sure that bill, really includes some things that can benefit their constituents. But there's no way that it can, and it won't. So just just continuing the man to follow to see exactly what the key intricate details are ultimately going to look like. But right now, like I said, I think it's just too early to really
Yeah.
take serious any of the so-called adjustments that they're trying to make. I just don't buy it. I think it's pretty much going to stay intact the way it the way he's setting out for it to look like. And I think they're gonna get behind it, and they're gonna pass the big beautiful bill.
Yeah, man. I definitely agree with you. Do you think that we'll see this thing get wrapped up by 4th of July recess, or is it going to take until their return in August?
Ooh, I think because he's got everything locked up. I think it'll pass that 4th of July.
Yeah. I
Yeah,
think so too.
I think I don't think it's gonna I don't think it's gonna continue to get. I don't think they're gonna continue to kick the can down the road until they come back from recess. But you never know. Like I said, it depends really on we know what the other side thinks about it. The other side wants to kill it, but
Hmm.
they really don't have the power to kill it unless they pull some support from the other side. And I just don't think it's gonna be there at the end of the day. I don't think they're strong enough to stand up to them.
Yeah, I don't know that they are either, bro. Um, I, I and I agree that I think it will pass by 4th of July.
Yeah,
Um, just because he if he has to drag it across the line himself and drag the people across the line by their hair, he's gonna do that.
I don't
Yeah,
know. He's got just total leverage. I don't know. Like he just was someone I don't know. Like if he got something on him that he found out that they did back in their high school prom or something. I don't know.
right.
Like, but he's got a lot of leverage and power over these people, and they walk they it's like they walk around in fear.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. That's true. Um, it'll be interesting to see what happens from here, man.
Yeah,
It'll definitely be interesting to see.
yeah. I've just seen it before. Like it just your normal, your regular everyday, your regular Republicans that always look like they're gonna put up a fight and they get in front of the cameras and they talk a lot, but then when it really comes down to it, they always back down.
Yeah, yeah.
So I don't know.
Cool deal, man.
Yeah, I just want to. Part of it is like for the by that July 4th date because I just want to whatever's gonna happen. Let's just let it's gonna happen and let's just keep it moving.
Let's just get it done.
let's just let's
Listen,
just let's just get it done. So that's part of the reason why part the reason why I'm saying on July 4th is because it's like, man, let's just we need something to be solidified. All of this back and forth has just been crazy. It's really it's created so much uncertainty in the markets. And so let's just get it done and keep it moving. Let's not keep dragging this thing out.
yeah, yeah, no, for sure. I agree with you, dude. I agree with you 100%. Let's get something in place so that we can know and we can then operate from there with whatever that decision is.
Correct.
I'm with you, man. I'm with you 100%, dude. Team, any thoughts, questions? Let's see. Reese says, let's say August, September, they're too dysfunctional. I understand that sentiment too, man. I definitely do. Um, Joyce said a judge deemed his cut to National Institute of Health illegal. Um, they're scared. Yeah. Mean tweets and
Yeah.
permanent challenges. Yeah. Now, so what's interesting is the judges are making these decisions, and then his team is going back and challenging those decisions. And ultimately, I think I read something about trying to arrest judges, right? I think that was more on the that was on a different note. But um he's challenging all of those decisions, which prolongs it, and they ultimately say, "Oh, well, you can go ahead and do it," right? So it's wild. It's a wild state to be in right now. What are you gonna say, bro?
Oh, I mean, I agree with Joy, man. I mean, the fact is like most of the stuff he's done is illegal. Like,
Facts.
it's illegal, and like you talk about jailing judges who he appointed. That's what's crazy.
Correct.
So yeah, I don't know, like, but I will say it has been, the judicial branch that has stood in the way because nobody else has.
Yeah.
Nobody else has, and that's really the last line of defense. or the courts really, but like you say, it keeps tying people up, tying them up, going back to court, filing appeals. He's got the money to do it. I mean, the man has locked in a total bag, like since taking office. Now,
Uh,
now he's about to release Trump Mobile.
Trump mobile.
Like so, the grand fleecing of America continues. You know, so we'll see.
We shall see. We shall see. Um, let's let's hop over to these charts. I was gonna take a look at the ends, but really the ends are doing what we expected them to do, with that rate decision. There's not much change there. This dollar is interesting because this level is holding. Um, we didn't get a major spike due to kind of some safe haven movement, but the dollar's held. Um, the dollar's held steady at this 97 665 level. Um, Stochastic is in the buy zone. We got a swing low, but it's just moving sideways right now. So I'm curious on what could move the dollar back to the upside. I'm trying to figure that out, right? Been researching like Benny said, where's the money going? What's happening? And how we can position ourselves for where things are headed instead of where we currently sit. So trying to figure out what'll be the catalyst for this dollar um, to the upside, if there will be one. It's been a struggle. You have a lot of market participants that they're not completely taking their money out of the dollar, and this is just from what I've gathered from the interviews that I've watched. But what they're doing is they're not investing more in the dollar. They're taking their additional assets and putting them into either their current currency or other currencies such as the Chinese yuan, things like that. So you're not getting the dollar to have that full safe haven impact as it has had in the past for reasons like that. So it'll be interesting to see, how things continue to flow with the dollar. I do believe, I do believe that we get this move to the downside at some point and make our way to this D extension at 95, 534. Right. As of right now, we got a 50% retracement there. We come back to the weekly on this. Thought there was a larger fib. Ba, ba, ba. Boom. All right, there's our larger fib there. We got a 618 retracement off the weekly, which puts us at 91. So anywhere between 95 and 91, we could be looking for a price to head south, right? And that's over the long term, obviously. So as we come down to the four, we also have a 618 retracement there, putting us at 96. So somewhere in that range between 96 and 91 is what we're looking at as a range when it comes to dollar weakness, right? So that's the range that I'm watching as price continues to make its move in whatever direction. Um, but just trying to really focus on what the catalyst would be to move it into this area here. Okay. Um, but right now we're holding steady, right? Currently pressing down, but overall been just consolidating, trying to figure it out like the rest of us. All right. Even down here on the one, you got a 618 retracement, and that matching extension is down in that same range as that 4 hour, right? So that's where we're on the DXY. Um, as we move out and come over to this dollar yen. I was looking at this yesterday and just trying to pick it apart and see where it is and what could happen if the yen picks up any of that safe haven movement We do have a deep crown pattern here. It's just within range, right? If it comes up a little further, it'll take us out, but just within range of a deep crown pattern here. And it's been moving to the downside, and obviously similar to that dollar, we have this sideways movement. Okay. Um, we do have that Kumo twist here, but uh, we'll see because we're consolidating like crazy right now. So we could get that to shift back and forth. We do have a stochastic in the sell zone here as well. Um, so just watching to see, right, what how the market opens today, where things go, and where things trend. Okay. Down to the four, there's your consolidation there, right? You got a 6.335. Um, yeah, so you didn't quite get to that 786. So you got a 618 retracement on the four, matching extension there. So as we move through this consolidation, do we get a price to take out that low at some point and give us that move down to that D extension? Okay, which would then set us up to continue this move south, right? Finishing out that crown pattern. Whoops. Finishing out that crown pattern. Go back to the daily real quick. Right, there's your harmonic fib, right? And this is a deeper move there, pushing us down to 126, which is coming back to all-time lows. All right. So we'll see if we get that deep. We may over time. We may over time, especially as the yen and the Bank of Japan start continue to make their shifts in monetary policy. So we'll watch. We'll watch. So coming back now to this 1 hour, right? Coming back to this 1 hour. That's the fib that I have coming off the lows through all the consolidation and the back and forth. That's the fib that I have there. We got a 786 retracement. Just missed the D extension there. So we could potentially get another push up to hit that D extension, and then we'll look for a reset. Um, so just a bunch of mess is really what it is. Just a bunch of mess. Uh, Coinbase needs to take profit for the loss they made. What you talking about there, Joy? On what parade? Oh, on that for him.
Mm-hmm.
Got you. So it's at a high price right now?
No, I was being facetious. I said
Uh,
Coinbase need to take their money out
oh,
of
they need
the
to take the money
US to
out.
make a profit on they loss that they did.
I got you. I got you. Yeah. Yeah. It'll be interesting. They got some a lot of investors, a lot of market participants are behind Coinbase and putting their money there. So they'll continue to see that thing run. We'll take a look at it a little bit later. Um, da, 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 da. Then that said GU. We'll take a look at that. So this pound dollar, just like the rest of the dollar pairs, in an interesting space. We got a shallow retracement, not able to really break that big boundary. We're hovering sideways here. Okay. Previous weekly resistance there, but pressing sideways, trying to figure it out. Um, while you got things happening with the pound, the UK, Trump said that they had an agreement on tariffs at the G7 summit. We'll see. But they could be in a space where they cut rates, right? And so we'll see how that impacts this pound dollar pair. If we get a move to the downside to give us that retracement in the low price before we get back long, right? And that's if the dollar doesn't continue to weaken massively, right? So, but that's on the daily time frame there on the pound dollar. Coming down to the four, will still work in that C to D move here, right? 618 retracement, still making our way to the upside. Do we pull back first is the question before we continue to the matching extension there at 136. Okay, so overall still moving long, but do we get a pullback and retest some of these other levels before we continue our track? Okay. Let me go back. Let me do this. Pull that out. I'm going to reset these daily support levels. There. Boom. We'll move that up. And so what we'll do is we'll clear out this 4. And we'll drop these new levels down there. Boom. All right. So on the 4, still making that move to the upside. We got our support there. We'll see if we come back and retest that, give us a double bottom, and then continue moving to the upside. Okay. So moving long, ultimately. Down on you 1, you do still have this 80-20 that's just lingering to the upside. Again, um, not sure not sure if we actually get a deep enough retracement on the dollar to give this move back down, right? It's really, really uncertain for the dollar right now. Um, so still monitoring, still tracking, right? Still in that 80-20 zone, but looking for the fundamental catalyst that's going to make this shift, right? That's what we're still waiting to see. That's what we're still waiting to see. What's the fundamental catalyst that's gonna make it move? All right. So still got it sitting there. We'll see if we get that to pop in. Done said on the 15-minute had a C to D move. Where are you running your fib from, Donette? Let's see. That comes all the way back down. Boom. There we go. Beautiful.
Yeah,
Great
sorry.
call on that. That's it right there.
Yeah.
Awesome. Awesome. Drop some sevens for Donette in the chat. C to D move on the 15, right? AB, you got 618 retracement here. We didn't quite get to that 786 level, and you're getting that reversal. All right. So looking for a match and extension, 136. Right. Um, if you're working off your trend line breaks, boom, you're getting that now. Right. You're getting that now. So wait for the close of that candle. Make sure it closes bullish above that trend line, and then look for your entry, right? C to D move, A, B, C, the lowest point in between that A, B boundary, and you got your reversal. Great call, done that.
I was gonna look at the 4 hour. There's a um 4 hour. There's another fib to the capital fib to the left of that fib.
We got a larger one on here.
Yeah, from the bottom. Do it from the bottom. Yeah, there you go.
Oh, gotcha, gotcha. I didn't scroll back up
So
enough. Okay.
the D extension is just above. I think where your line is, yeah. Tree
This will
for
be
the fib.
interesting to see here.
Yeah. So 22.95 pips from where it is now to that D extension on the
Yep, that D
phone,
extension is on that 136
and
area,
then 122.
which is this around this area here on that
Yeah.
sub fib to the upside. Ba, 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 ba. Yeah, so movement to the upside. So maybe with this capital fib, right, I didn't zoom out far enough on that. I apologize. But maybe we push into this 118, 127 zone here
Mm-hmm.
on that larger fib. So speaking of that, what is There's a larger fib that I had a drawn on the daily as well, working at C to D move. So that's the D extension here on the daily. So that red line is the D extension on the daily. Make that larger. Boom. I'm gonna turn it blue so we know. All right, so boom. So that's your D extension on the daily, which puts you right in line with that 80-20 on the 4. Boom. All right, so there's that capital fib 80-20 on the 4. If we push into that zone, right? So there's some confluence there, along with this continued move to the upside on the sub fibs. Excuse me. So if we bring all this down back to the 15 that Donet's talking about, that puts us at that 4-hour D extension here, that sub fib D extension on the 15, right? And puts us in a position where we can continue those ABCD waves to the upside, getting us to that daily D extension and that 80-20 on that capital fib on the 4. I know it's a lot of jargon there, but ultimately looking at this thing to continue moving to the upside. All right, that's our direction. Cool. Questions on this pound dollar? No. All right. Cool deal. Appreciate that, Donette. Appreciate it.
No worries.
Um, I'm gonna hop back over here to oil, right? Been running. So we'll look for potentially a retracement and a continuation. Now, if we get a retracement, we'll see how the market opens today and see what narratives continue to be put out there. Um, but understand, one of Donald Trump's things is having oil below $2, right? Or having gas below $2. Can't get that if oil is pushing to the upside, right? If the cost per barrel continues to rise, you can't get a gas price at the pump below $2. So any narrative that he can put out there, right, that will bring oil back down, he's going to try to do that. Excuse me. Which is where I think that statement about Iran wanting to come to the table and negotiate was an attempt to get things to slow down a bit, right? But we're moving, okay? We got our new capital fib here that didn't pop in, but it looks like that, right? This move to the upside gets us to a 50% retracement, okay? So now I'm watching to see as this lingers on, do we get a crown pattern here and a push deeper into the zone, right? Something like that. We got stochastic in the sell zone, right? So potential retracement to come if things don't continue to escalate and go haywire, right? If things continue to escalate, we could see this thing just continue to barrel to the upside. Okay. Um, so that's on your daily. Okay. I'm gonna pull this fib out and we're gonna come down to the 4. On the 4, take that out for now. You got a retracement there. You believe you have, you know, you already have a 618 retracement here on the 4 with a stochastic in the buy zone. So you got mismatch on the daily and on the 4, which could call for some slight consolidation, which we're seeing here. I'll take that out and that out. um, so let's see, do we get this to run off to the upside, right? Um, as the all signs point to this continuing to escalate, right? Um, it'll just be how does the media try to control the narrative to bring things back down? So that's my perspective on that right now. But looking for price to continue moving to the upside based on where we currently stand. We do have a VIX that's at 20.47, so we're right on that ledge. Um, we're right on that ledge of that 20 level for that uh risk identifier there, right? So um let's watch and see how the market moves throughout the day to day and what that narrative is. You come down to the one, similar story to that four, right? You got that 618 retracement there. You did have, look at that, decision, indecision, decision, right? So that gives me thoughts of price definitely continue running to the upside. We'll see what that catalyst is for that continued movement, right? If we see that continued escalation. So looking at oil to the upside in the short term, but then what happens, right? Um, so that's where we're on oil. Any questions? Yeah, it was at 18 last night, Joy. It's definitely on the move. Definitely on the move. No questions? Cool deal. Um, that Euro Aussie that we've been watching. Daily, we're making those waves to the upside, right? 8-6 retracement, making that move. Got a retracement right now. And what we had was, right, we broke this level of resistance and we're coming back to retest it. Okay, we do have a stochastic creeping up into that sell zone, but came back to retest that previous level of resistance. So we come down to the four as we track those ABCD waves to the upside, right? There was our 80-20 on the larger move, but now we're watching the pullbacks and continuations. So we have a sub fib running here, smaller wave. We got a retracement. We're sitting at a 50% level right now. Do we push a little bit deeper? We'll see, right? To give us that 618 move, but ultimately looking for that to happen, right? So let's watch this retracement opportunity. I believe Benny talked about this over the weekend, right? Setting us up for in addition to that move to the upside, or if you're not in it already, an opportunity to enter this on that move to the upside as we finish out these ABCD waves on the daily time frame, getting us back to a high of around 188, right? So that's where we're headed. And we're working these ABCD waves on the lower time frame. So we come down to the 1 hour, beautiful 80-20 here, shallow retracement, 118, 127 zone, boom, right? So if you trade on the 1 hour, right, you're looking for another push to the downside to at least get you to that 50%, but we love that 618 retracement level there, right? So looking for a deeper push on the one to give that entry opportunity there. Okay. But we're in that up retracement zone. And now we're looking for entry opportunities as price gets closer to our zone to continue to play this to the upside. To continue to play this to the upside. Okay. Questions here on this Euro Aussie. No.
Nope.
Okay. Cool deal. I know I'm bouncing around a bit, but just got a few things that I want to touch on. QQQ. So, did I talk about this one already? No, that was the dollar yen. This QQQ. tracking S&P, right? Moving to the upside. Okay. You saw I had that. It's just just in line for a deep crown pattern, right? If we push to that 118, 127 zone, that could take us out of that qualification zone. Um, Let me reset that. Um, So for this, we'll see how the market opens. But if we push back to that high, that'll then give us a double top, right? So we'll see what happens here on the market open if we gap down and continue this move to the downside. But we're close to an 80-20 here on this fib. Okay. If this crown pattern plays out, your harmonic fib would look like this, and we're at an 8-6 retracement. Okay. And to the downside, looking at 375 on QQQ. Um, so if we get that move to the downside and that retracement, that's what that would look like. Okay. Or could potentially look like. But just from a straight fib perspective, we're pushing into a 118, 127 zone, monthly resistance level at 540.90. Okay. Ultimately, we're looking for a low price to get back long in line with that tax bill and watch things run off to the upside in euphoria. All right. We do have a stochastic higher in the zone, not quite into that sell zone yet. Okay, so that's on the daily. Come down to the 4. Similar story, just shy of that 118 level, right? And do we push up and then get a move back down? Okay. That's what I'm watching to see. And could be an opportunity to play that 80-20 to the downside if we get things to align with the catalyst. Um, yeah, yeah, it definitely does. Definitely does. Um, so watching this here and that 80-20 opportunity. Okay. Come down to the 1. You're already in that 118, 127 zone. You already got your 80-20. Okay. So again, watching this monthly resistance level at 540.90, is that able to hold, right? Do we get that confirmation on the 4 hour and on the daily of that 80-20 pushing to that zone? And then do we get that retracement back down to the downside? Okay. So that's QQQ. Any questions? No?
No questions.
Right. Got a couple minutes left. I'm sorry, I said the S&P. This tracks the NASDAQ. My bad. Not the S&P 500. Um, you guys got anything top of mind you want me to take a look at before we wrap it up? I got one, I can take one or two. Aussie CAD, natural gas. Joy, quick on the trigger. So let's look at nat gas. Got you. Natural gas. So I got a bunch of stuff happening on my chart, trying to figure this one out. As it bounces back and forth, I was looking for a retracement to come. I don't know that that retracement is actually going to come, but anywho, overall, right, we're looking at this 80-20 here, came back down into the zone, looking to see what we get for a continuation. Do we have any slowdown for these summer months, which we may not get? I was looking forward to, but we may not get. right? So we zoom in on this, I have a fib running off this high back down to the downside. We'll look at this on the lower time frames, but you also had an 80-20 here, boom, and we're moving back along, okay? Originally, I was looking at, and it still could play out, but looking at just this area here and a potential crown pattern here, but that will call for a deeper retracement to come, right? So don't know if we get it or not because of the use of natural gas in other areas. We may not get that traditional kind of summer sell-off because of the use of natural gas in um, with the AI space and with just the overall energy production that's required um, really around the world. And then also with the war in Iran and Israel, Israel hit a natural gas facility um, in Iran. And so you're seeing this start to trickle back to the upside with that. And so kind of following that oil trend as well. Um, so we got interesting situations happening. That's kind of throwing my original thoughts off, which is cool, right? We'll get back in line with it and we'll track it, right? If we're able to break this high, we'll look at a continuation to the upside, right? If we're able to take that high out, look for a continuation to the upside. Okay. Boom. Um, so watching that closely there. Okay. We've been at this level 4 times. Do we press down out of that zone or are able to take it out and continue moving? We got a stochastic in the buy zone here, right? You got a bullish cloud ahead, even though it's pointing down. So we'll see if we're able to get things to flip and move back to the upside. Okay. We come down to the 4. I'm going to take this crown pattern out. Boom. Okay. Down on the 4 and look at things from both directions, right? So that fib got taken out there. So we'll run the fib off the low to the upside and we'll get to where we are. Boom. Right? So here you got a just shy of a 618 retracement here. Just shy of a 618 retracement. So our matching extension is 412. So really, off of this 4 hour, right, we're looking at a continuation to the upside. You do have a stochastic in the sell zone here, so we got a little bit of a mismatch. Um, so from a lower time frame perspective, do we get another pullback and then a continuation before we break this resistance level at 382? Okay, so watching that development there, overall, we're moving to the upside, but what retracements come in between? Okay. Um, come down, and 1 hour similar to that 4 hour. Okay, stochastic is pushing into that sell zone. So this tells me that we could potentially get a pullback first, and maybe we stay in this range for a little bit until we get that 4 hour and that 1 hour stochastic back into that buy zone, right? And so this is the range that we're playing in right now. Okay. And we need a breakout. We need a breakout, one direction or the other. Okay. So we'll watch, and see if we get that to the upside and win the extension there, and we'll look for that continuation long. Okay. Overall, my bias is long, but I wanted a retracement ahead of time and not getting it, not getting that deeper retracement that I wanted. Okay. So this is where we are. Right. So we'll see if we're able to break out of that range now or we break out later. But we're kind of stuck right now. Okay. If you come down to lower time frames, right, you can run your fibs off the low here. That one got taken out. That one got taken out. Boom. All right, and that still points to the upside as well. You got a 382 matching extension there at 386. So, right, all signs are pointing to upside momentum, right? Even though on the 15, right? Everything is pointing higher. So let's track it. Let's track it and see what happens. Let's track it and see what happens. Okay. That's natural gas. Questions?
I
No,
I I, I think I think what we have to pay attention to, and I think what the markets are really paying attention to is as it relates to the Iran and Israel, the war, is what's going to happen with what is it the Strait of Hormuz, right?
Yes.
So because they that hasn't been blocked yet, but if that gets blocked, then I think you see the things like the oil and the natural gas continue to skyrocket.
Strait of Hormuz, and
Yeah,
there's another facility over there too. What is it called? There's a processing facility in the area that processes 7% of the world's of the world's oil.
right.
And that's
It,
also one of the things that's in mind as well. I agree with you on that Strait of Hormuz. That's going to be major in natural gas, but also other areas too. Um, that processing plant too is another one that was mentioned in the interview yesterday.
yeah, but that's about what, a quarter, at least a quarter of the world's
Yeah,
oil supply goes through there, right? Through that strait. So if something ends up happening there, then you're looking at the price skyrocketing. So if you trade oil, or like we're looking at this natural gas to the upside, like to me that's one of the keys. If that gets put on lockdown, because that little narrow strait is what opens up the Persian Gulf to the major ocean and waterways. So I think if that gets stalled, then you got a major supply issue. So there's
yes,
some things to keep an eye out on. Like if you're trying to operate with that narrow focus, because there's so much drama going on with the whole thing. But there's few things that you key in on as an investor, as a trader, and that's one of them, because that deals directly with supply.
yes,
You know,
yeah. Man,
yeah,
it's huge.
yeah, and that those are the type of things you want to focus on, because everything else is really reality TV show drama. Him dramatically leaving the G7 yesterday and
Hmm.
telling him to Tehran to leave immediately. Like all of that gets the cameras and everything back on him, and it's the Apprentice all over again. It's ridiculous when you think about it, but it's just all the drama and flair, you know, of a top rated TV show and his cast of characters, right?
It's that.
So these are the things that we really want to home in on. So that's my opinion, is that if something happens there with the Strait of Hormuz, because that little narrow waterway is responsible for so much, and that's where you'll really see, to me, a global impact when it comes to things like oil and natural gas.
Yeah, I dig that. I dig that for sure, for sure. And just to give us a visual, right? We're in this region of the country. Okay, we got Iran, we got Israel, you got bombs, fighter jets, all that flying back and forth between these two, right? You got tons of oil processing that happens in this area, and it comes through this little strait right here, right? Got to pass through here out, right? Got to pass through here to get out,
Yep.
right? And so if this gets locked down, there's literally no way out, right? There's no way out. So what Benny's saying is that's major. That's major. So, yes, sir. Joy, you were going to say something.
You were saying to break out of that move, because I've been playing that pullback and it's coming into my original price. And I had two entries up underneath it. I think it already broke out. And the breakout price was from 3,740.
On this push to the upside here.
Yeah, because it's been down and hovering for several days, and then this has been the breakout. And, I'm in like 100 pip drawdown.
Hmm.
So I was just assuming that this was the breakout. I mean, I know that area would be more significant that you have, but I was looking at it yesterday. I said, "Go ahead, close out." I said, "It's gonna pull back." It moved 50 more pips. I was like, so
Yeah.
it's inching over there. And then not only that, you do have what was that, your 4 hour? I want to say it was the 4 or the 1 hour. I noticed that there was a clear cloud break 4 hour. You got your Tekin cross, you got your lagging over price and prices
Oh
in
yeah.
the cloud
Yeah.
crossing up. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
and I should have just took, and if I would have took it last night, that would have been my 50 pips.
I dig that. I dig that. But we'll see. We'll see. Right. I definitely see that cloud break there. My only hesitation on the cloud break as it currently stands is is just moving across the screen. Right. That's my only hesitation with that. But you're right. We do have that. We have the lagging span above. We have all of our signals in alignment. So we'll see. We'll see if we get that move.
Because
Uh,
it did that. I mean, just to offer last year, a lot of times that RSI just stayed there and it just never moved until it was that storm that made the price that dropped last year with the gain sell off for last
mm,
summer. But I noticed that, and that's the reason why I end up diverting to the MACD, um, because the RSI, I think it's just gonna stay there like how gold been. The RSI just been staying up there and not giving clear signals for sales.
yeah, yeah. Let's see. Let's keep our eyes peeled. Let's keep our eyes peeled. Reese asked, as I go over to this Aussie CAD, Reese asked, what's the relationship between Qatar and Iran? Um, so I did a quick search. It sounds like Iran did reach out to the Gulf nations, including Qatar and Oman, to help broker a ceasefire with Israel. So it sounds like Iran is legitimately attempting to resolve this situation and de-escalate, but Israel doesn't want to do that. But Qatar is actively mediating between uh, Tehran and Washington to attempt to revive the nuclear talks to calm the tensions. Um, so it sounds like they have a decent relationship. Um, so there's some things historically that have occurred between the two, but they have a strong diplomatic, economic, and strategic ties built on energy independence. Mediation roles and just regional hedging. So Qatar manages the delicate balance of hosting U.S. forces while maintaining open channels with Iran. So um, yeah, I didn't either. I didn't either. Yeah, so I'll look up some more. I'll send you what I have here, but I'll do some more research on that as well. But some things that have happened historically that that have connected the two and kind of put them in partnership. So um, Yeah, we'll watch and see if that plays a role as well, if they're able to get those negotiations started. Um, and it just research history when it comes to nuclear in this region, right? I'll phrase it that way. But individuals that have nuclear weapons, historically, how they've covered that up, how they don't talk about it, and how countries are afraid to discuss it. But do that research, and you'll kind of see some interesting things pop up when it comes to um, the nuclear situation in this region. Over to the Aussie CAD, we'll take a look at the Euro Yen and we'll wrap it up. This Aussie CAD is bouncing a bit, right? Not able to really break out to the downside below this. What is this? Show the price. 87,794. Getting a retracement right now. Retesting some of those levels that it broke out of. We got stochastic moving down into the buy zone. So we'll continue to watch that. But overall, still looking for this to continue its move to the downside over the long term. So personally, just sitting tight and allowing it to do its thing. Looking for that move to continue. You come down to the 4, right? And there's your fib on the 4. You got 8-6 retracement. You're making those moves to the downside. Okay. And we got ABCD waves flowing. Okay. You got a 618 retracement here. And we broke the cloud to the downside. And now we're pulling back. So after that strong bearish action, getting a retracement, and we'll look for price to continue that move to the downside. Okay. Overall on this 4, matching extension is there at that 83,320. Okay. So it's moving, just taking its time to move. Okay. Coming down to your 1. This is what those fibs coming off that C, that high. All right, this is what those fibs look like. You got a 50% retracement here. We got some back and forth movement here, right? We could pull a little bit deeper to get into that 618 retracement zone, but right, we got a 50% retracement so far. Maybe we get one more push to the upside if for whatever reason the market continues to be resilient and we kind of have a little bit of a risk on push like we did yesterday. But ultimately looking at that. You're looking at this level here, Reese, 89,481. Yep, no doubt. Okay. But ultimately looking for this to continue that move to the downside, right? And we can run our trend line to just track the move and ensure the price stays below that trend line, right? But ultimately looking down, we're in a down retracement zone right now. We'll look for price to settle in at some point and then turn back over and continue making those moves down. Questions on the Aussie CAD? You're welcome. You're welcome. Euro yen. So, look, we've been talking about that yen weakness, right? Talking about that yen weakness. Boom, 8-6 retracement. Took its time bouncing around back and forth. Got to break above that 166, 858 level. Boom, strong push. We're pulling back. Right? You got stochastic in the sell zone, so we'll continue to monitor. But overall, still looking bullish on this, right? Bullish on euros as they signal that they're nearing the end of their rate cutting cycle, right? Japanese yen holding rates steady because of all of the uncertainty. They don't have a trade deal. The back and forth that's happening, geopolitical, tons of things going on. Bank of Japan wants to sit tight, and you're seeing this run to the upside. Okay. So we come down to the 4, and there's that move, right? 50% retracement, matching D extension here, 169, 102. Okay. So it's pressing long, got a nice strong move to the upside. We're in a retracement phase right now. Okay. We come down to the 1. And this is what Reese was talking about here, 80-20. All right, so we'll watch and see if we get it. But we took out these levels, right? We broke those daily levels. Okay. Now we move them on the higher time frame as well. But breaking through those levels, do we get a retracement and a continuation? All right, that's what Reese is looking at here. All right, do we get a low price? Boom. Safe haven action to then get back long. $80-20 on your one. Questions on the euro yen? Nope. Questions on anything that we covered this morning? Drop some sevens in the chat for Reese on this 80-20. Great call. We'll watch that move. All right, Benny, anything before I wrap it up, bro?
No, sir. Great session, man. Appreciate you.
No doubt, man. Appreciate you as well. All right, good people. We'll be back at it tomorrow morning, 6:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time for the pre-New York session. You all have a phenomenal Tuesday.